In a dim alley, a man was seen running to escape. When the surroundings went silent, he believed he had gotten away. Unexpectedly, a knife was pressed against his neck. Behind him stood a mysterious figure. The man attempted to bargain for his life by offering money, but the stranger coldly told him to die and blood splattered quickly. The next morning, a high school student named Kai felt incredibly sleepy. As a night-working assassin, morning class felt like a total drag for him. Later at school, the students were chatting casually inside the room. Suddenly, Kai entered. His arrival caught the attention of everyone. The class president, Shuji, then greeted him politely, but Kai only gave a casual response. After that, he headed straight to his seat and fell asleep. Nearby, a guy named Rinag called Kai rude as always. She then said greeting him was pointless, but Shuji insisted Kai was still their classmate. And he also thought Kai was just tired, but she thinks it's still disrespectful. Just then, another student arrived. So Rina's expression soured since she disliked him more. It was Shin, the leader of a delinquent gang. Meanwhile, the other students greeted him immediately. After that, Shin noticed Kai sleeping nearby. Seeing this, he began calling out to him. When there was no response, he mocked Kai for sleeping so soundly and told him to listen. Still getting no reaction, he attempted to grab Kai, but Kai quickly caught his wrist. So Shin was surprised by the sudden movement. After Kai yawned, he asked what Shin wanted since he's sleepy. Shin then demanded that he let go of his hand, but to his frustration, he could not move at all. Noticing this, Kai eventually released him, but Shin was irritated and called him a big weirdo. At that moment, a most admired girl in the school named Rin asked Shin to quiet down. Annoyed, Shin cursed and accused her of trying to pick a fight. Before things escalated, another girl stepped in. It was Murray from the discipline committee who reminded him his behavior wasn't acceptable. The playful student named Yoshi then told her to let it go, but she told him to be quiet too. Meanwhile, Kai had already gone back to sleep. Seeing this, Shin returned to his seat. With that, the classroom gradually became quiet. Rin was satisfied with the restored peace, but Yoshi and Mare continued to bicker. Meanwhile, Shuji chatted casually with Rina, and it's normal in class too. It was just another regular day in their classroom full of problems. But while Kai slept, he suddenly sensed a peculiar sensation. Moreover, he noticed it coming from Shuji's feet. Soon, a magic circle appeared on the floor without warning. Panic quickly spread among the students as the circle expanded, and it covered the entire classroom. Shuji looked confused by it, but he immediately tried to get everyone to evacuate. However, Kai already realized they would not make it in time. Suddenly, the magic circle collapsed in an instant. Moments later, the students found themselves inside a building. Upon arriving, Kai wondered where he was. He looked around and saw the stone structure, large pillars, and a single visible exit. Hence, he realized the magic circle had transported the entire class to an unknown place. Meanwhile, the other students woke up confused by the unfamiliar surroundings. As they tried to understand, Rina wondered about the white light, but Shuji urged everyone to calm down and check if all were safe. Hearing this, Kai noted Shuji's ability to keep the class calm. However, Shin declared that they could not afford to waste time, so he decided to investigate and signal for his lackeys to follow. Kai found it reasonable, but he quickly told Shin to wait. Noticing Shin's confusion, Kai explained he heard footsteps beyond the door. Shin glanced toward the entrance and was uncertain, but Kai already sensed a man and woman approaching and wondered if they could communicate. The door soon creaked open, revealing a man and a woman. The woman then praised how quickly the hero candidates calmed down, but the students were struck by her beauty, and some even thought they were cosplayers. However, Kai saw that the man is a seasoned swordsman, so this is not a cosplay. As for the woman, she had a toned build but seemed calm and ordinary. Suddenly, the woman introduced herself as Luna, the Archbishop of Digirist, and the man is her knight, Gaius. But Shin had never heard of the place, so he assumed she was lying. But Luna said she wasn't joking, though she understood it seemed strange. Shuji then stepped up and explained that everyone was still on edge, so he asked if Luna knew what had happened to them. Luna confirmed that she did, which was why she had come to explain everything. But before explaining, she wanted them to grasp their situation. She said they were summoned to a doomed world as hero candidates to stop the Demon King. But Shuji found it hard to believe, while Shin dismissed the story entirely. Gaius then demanded Shin respect Luma as their saint, but Shin told Gaius to shut up or he would kill him. Hearing this, Gaius decided it was time to teach Shin a lesson. Luna tried to stop him, but he insisted their arrogance needed breaking. Shin didn't hesitate and charged at him. Seeing this, Kai silently noted Shin's bravery for charging at a sword-wielding man. Confident from past fights, Shin believed he could dodge and get in close. But before he could even react, Gaius swung his blade. Shin's forehead bled as Gaius said he only cut a hair and wouldn't hold back. Witnessing this, the class stood frozen in shock. After that, Luna told Gaius to put away his sword and he obeyed. She then apologized to the students and assured them they meant no harm. With that, she said it was time to explain about this world, the reason they were summoned, and what was expected of them. But first, she asked for silence. Luna revealed humanity was nearing extinction from the Demon King's invasion. Although their country continued to resist, they lacked the power to stop it. Upon hearing this, Kai found the mention of a Demon King somewhat common. Still, Luna continued stressing that the students were humanity's final hope. Hence, Shuji realized that they were expected to defeat the Demon King, but Yoshi called it impossible, and Murray said she'd never fought before. She also added that some were terrified and just wanted to go home, but Gaius urged them to try, saying they couldn't return home unless the Demon King was defeated. Hearing this, the students were shocked. Observing this, Kai suspected that Gaius said it deliberately to motivate them. However, he knew peaceful students couldn't fight without both training and talent. Meanwhile, Shin was furious they were summoned without consent. Now, they were being told to obey without question. So he shouted that those people were exactly who he despised. Hearing this, Gaius thought Shin's spirit could help in battle, but also be dangerous. Deciding to act, Gaius reached for his sword to end him. However, Luna began chanting on Shin. To Shin's surprise, his wound began to heal. After that, Luna offered a sincere apology for their earlier behavior, but Rina was confused by the light coming from her hands. Luna explained it's called system, a power from their god Diggerist that caused new abilities, but it was essentially what they call magic. Hearing this, Kai thinks she knew their culture and others might have been summoned before. Suddenly, Luna approached Shuji. Raising her hand, she told the group that this was the reason they had all been summoned. Shuji then suddenly felt a surge of energy. Immediately, Rinia pointed out that his hand had begun to glow. Moments later, the light formed into the shape of a sword. Luna explained Shuji had awakened his divine protection through the system. Still, Luna reminded them there was no way back once summoned. With that, she humbly asked for their help. However, Shuji said they couldn't fight immediately even with power. In response, Luna agreed to support their training. Shuji then gathered everyone and stressed that survival required information and protection. Hence, divine protection could help in danger and urged them to hear Luna out. Encouraged by his reasoning, Rin and the others voiced their agreement. Grateful for their cooperation, Luna began granting them their divine protection. Murray was the first to receive hers, and it was telekinesis. After her, Shin was granted the power of explosion. Soon, the other students each received unique abilities. Once she was done, Luna asked if that was everyone. Kai then raised his hand and mentioned that he was the last one left. Immediately, Luna apologized and began to grant his divine protection. The moment she did, Kai noticed a strange shift in his vision. Suddenly, a prompt appeared showing Luna's status. Luna then noted his eye color changed and said he received a rare ability called Judgment. Noticing his confusion, she explained it, letting him see detailed target info. Kai then immediately tested it on himself. A glowing interface appeared and displayed his full status. He thought it looked like a game status screen, but was easy to read. Suddenly, movement from the side caught his attention. Upon seeing it with Shin, he instinctively dodged. After blasting a hole in the floor, Shin asked Kai's opinion and demanded to know his power. Seeing only Kai's glowing red eyes, he burst out laughing, joined by others. Rina then mocked Kai by saying that's what he got for acting important. Hearing this, Kai questioned their arrogance while still unsure which powers were useful. Moreover, these powers could vanish anytime, but Kai already had many ways to kill. Soon, Luna said their powers would fight the Demon King, though hard to control at first. After making this clear, she encouraged everyone to get some rest. Later that evening, the students were sent to their personal rooms. However, Kai decided to gather information before going to sleep. Immediately, he overheard guards complaining about patrolling due to the new summoned hero candidate. One guard said they should protect themselves, but the other replied they were just kids. Still, he doubted they could beat the demon, but the other believed the saint's decision. Unbeknownst to them, Kai had been listening. From their conversation, he understood that the kingdom was reinforcing its defenses. Curious, he decided to test his ability. Using judgment, he checked a guard named Din and saw his only skill was swordsmanship. After knowing that no one can sense his ability, he slipped away. As he ran, he recalled the city's defensive layout surrounding the castle. Eventually, he reached a guarded gate. After seeing the inner castle more guarded, he became curious. But with no rush, he left the exploration for another day. As he continued, he spotted Rina and two girls looking for an open area. The girl named Mina doubted the plan, but the blonde named Yumi said it was just ability practice. Rina also added she couldn't sleep and said training would help long-term. The three girls then began to use their powers, but Kai stayed silently watching. Curious about their divine protection, he kept observing. Suddenly, he sensed something unusual. As he turned, he questioned this weird sensation. Meanwhile, and also heard strange nearby noises. Hence, the girls look around in confusion. Without warning, a large creature emerged. Seeing it, they were all shocked. Like them, Kai was surprised to see a lizard-like creature. After activating his judgment ability, he saw that the lizard's stats far exceeded Rinus and the others. As it inhaled, it roared loudly at the girls. So without hesitation, the girls hurriedly ran away, but the lizard chased after them. Kai then noted its aggressive nature. Also, moves quickly at a straight-line speed and lacks intelligence. However, its skin looks tough, so he's unsure if his blade would work. Still, he threw his knife. When the knife hit its skin, the lizard was confused, and it confirmed that throwing knives still worked. Meanwhile, the girls kept running until Rina tripped. Mina tried to help, but Yumi stopped her. So Rina got up on her own while feeling hurt. But when she turned around, she found the lizard already in front of her. As she panicked, the lizard began to attack her. But when she braced for impact, nothing came. Looking up, she saw the lizard dead with a knife in its head. Immediately, the girls helped her up, but this made Rina ask who saved her. However, Yumi just simply told her to leave before more monsters appeared. Kai then felt relieved and admitted he had no reason to save them, but couldn't ignore it. As he retrieved his knife, he knew life here wouldn't be easy with monsters around. Suddenly sensing something, he quickly hid behind the lizard. After that, he watched a nearby stone. While looking at it, he wondered if someone was there and decided to leave. After he did, a mysterious figure stepped out. Following that, he crushed the lizard underfoot. The person then muttered how useless the hero candidates were. However, he noted that Kai smelled just like him. The next day, the lizard's corpse was shown, invisibly disgusted many students. Gaius then said the monster was found near the royal capital the night before. Hearing this, Shuji and Shin both fell into deep thought, but several of their classmates began to show signs of fear. Suddenly, Gaius said the Demon King made monsters crave human flesh and asked Ted for updates. Ted reported traces of sorcery from a demon above mid-grade. As he warned demons might be scouting the hero candidates, Kai listened silently. Hence, the mention of sorcery made him question if it was different from magic. Suddenly, Shuji asked if the monster had been under the control of a demon. Ted then confirmed powerful demons could control weaker monsters with servitude spells. As he began explaining the monster's origins, Gaius abruptly told him to stop as Ted was taken out. Kai guessed he was a researcher that he could ask for information. But for now, his attention returned to the monster that had indeed been controlled. Moreover, he had already seen it in the creature's status window the night before. Thus, he confirmed the presence he sensed earlier was a demon. More importantly, the demon hid so well after Kai barely sensed it, and it might still be near. Suddenly, Kai felt another gaze from afar. A voice then warned that fear leads to death. But Kai was startled instead when someone shouted they weren't afraid. Shin declared they had to kill the Demon King to return and had no plans to stay. Hearing this, Rin agreed with Shin for the first time ever. Shuji also agreed by saying fighting was their only way home. Still, many students trembled at the thought of facing such monsters. Seeing this, Kai saw they now understood that fighting meant real danger and death. Suddenly, Luna arrived and told them not to fear. She explained they struggled because they lacked training in using their powers. As summoned hero candidates, she assured them they would surpass the natives in growth. And so a week passed since they started training. During this time, Kai learned the local language but found it weird that they communicate easily. Setting that aside, a noise drew his attention to the window. Outside, the other students were actively training on the field. Watching them, Kai remembered he was sent to the library instead of combat training due to his ability. This decision was directed by Luna and made others laugh at him. Regardless, he read everything but found no information on demons. Later, while watching the students, he saw Luna was right that their growth was astonishing. Among them, the 5 who stood out most were Yoshi, Shin, Rin, Mare, and Rina. Even so, one person surpassed all the others. At that moment, a sword suddenly flew and struck the ground. Seeing this, a soldier admitted defeat to Shuji and commented that he's already stronger than him, but Shuji said it was thanks to their guidance. Hearing this, Kai then used his ability on Shuji. Just a week ago, they were D and F rank, but most had improved fast. This showed divine protection boosted more than power. As he thought of this, Shin's group suddenly arrived. Upon seeing Kai, they asked why he was at the training grounds instead of reading. Upon hearing this, Kai thought that these people hadn't changed. Some still looked down on him, and they grew more arrogant after gaining power. The guy named Muda then moved toward him after not responding. However, Kai effortlessly swept him off balance. After knocking him down, Kai asked why he fell for no reason. Seeing this, they were also taken aback. Before it escalated, Shin told them to stop since someone was coming. Soon, Luna arrived with Gaius at her side. As she passed, the students stopped and looked at her. In response, Luna thanked them. She then noted their growth and wanted to move to the next stage. Upon hearing this, Yoshi assumed they would face the Demon King immediately, but she clarified it was not. Instead, she simply wanted them to practice fighting monsters. Hearing this, the girls and boys were clearly surprised, especially Kai, who also looked nervous. Before the combat drill, Gaius explained they were in a forest. Hence, obstacles will keep them from moving freely as one group. As a result, the students were instructed to form smaller teams of 2 to 3 members. Rina then quickly formed a team with Shuji and Yumi. At the same time, Shin ended up with his usual group. Meanwhile, Murray wondered why she was paired with Yoshi, who said they'd be fine. As Gaius checked the teams, he noticed Kai and Rin standing alone. In response, Rin said no one wanted to team up with her, knowing it was out of fear. So she asked Kai if he was fine teaming up with her, and he agreed. Watching her, Kai recalled her confident and detached nature, but Rin suddenly glanced at him and asked why he was staring, so he said it was nothing. After hearing this, she turned her attention elsewhere. Afterwards, Luna announced a reward for the team with the most kills and started the drill. Later while walking, Rin told Kai her ability was superior, and she didn't need his help. In response, Kai agreed to let her handle everything, but this made her remark that he had no pride. However, Kai had already decided to observe her combat abilities first. Furthermore, he had already sensed 4 presences nearby. Soon, a goblin appeared. Upon seeing it, Rin immediately identified it as a monster. So as it charged, she used her ability to force it to bow. Hence, the goblin instantly obeyed. Watching this, Kai realized her power was domination that forced others to obey. With that, he pointed out that more monsters were nearby. So Rin ordered the goblin to discard its weapon and place its hands behind its back. But Kai noticed she looked tired, and she admitted using her ability too long drains her. Realizing it used much mana, he told her to eliminate the goblin as another approached, but she hesitated because monster looked somewhat human. Kai then reminded her it had attacked them and there was no reason to spare an enemy. Hearing this, she acknowledged his point. But as Kai picked up a rock, he thought Rin was strong, but still too naive. Regardless of that, what mattered was whether Rin could decide correctly in danger. Soon, the remaining 3 goblins appeared and began approaching. Kai then quickly alerted Rin, who responded that she was already aware. Without hesitation, she ordered the goblins to bow down. Suddenly, Kai asked her next move, and she told him to help despite her earlier claim. Realizing this, decided to eliminate the goblins on her own. If that, she commanded them to twist their own necks. The goblins then began to carry out the order, which shocked Rin. Observing this, Kai asked if she could give extreme commands, and Rin said yes, but with lower success. Despite this, she finally realized real combat was far from what she imagined. But Kai reminded her the enemies attacked them, and killing was necessary to survive. Hearing this, Rin wondered how Kai stayed calm despite having no power. While looting the goblin, he said staying calm under pressure was his strength. Setting that aside, he then asked if they should move on or return if she was scared. After glancing at the corpse, Rin declared that they should keep going. Though Kai saw she was just pretending, she seems to be worth fighting with. Meanwhile, Yoshi and Murray were running, while figuring out what to do, as they realized the monsters weren't weak. Regardless, they refused to back down. So Yoshi unleashed a wind blast while Murray followed up with a rock bullet. Using their combined attack, it landed directly into the monster. However, the monster remained unscathed. Seeing this, Yoshi grew anxious and questioned what kind of creature they were dealing with. Meanwhile, Rin thought about going home immediately to repay her grandfather. Besides, she figured he must be feeling very sad now. Suddenly, Kai warned they might get lost, but she said walking straight would prevent it. But this made him think she underestimated the forest. As she told him to be quiet, she found him cocky and couldn't understand what was with him. But Kai noticed her stare and questioned it, so she simply brushed it off. Suddenly, a scream echoed through the forest. Rin immediately recognized Murray's voice, while Kai guessed she was in danger and asked Ren's plan. Without hesitation, she decided to help. Hearing this, Kai noted how kind she was, but Rin asked what he meant and urged him to hurry. At that moment, Murray was badly injured. Seeing this, Yoshi quickly asked if she was alright. Mary replied that she was fine and told him to run, but he refused to leave her behind. So when he turned around, he saw the monster about to strike. Just then, Rin's voice rang out, commanding the creature to stop. Seeing it was Rin, Yoshi thanked her, but she warned she couldn't hold it long. Meanwhile, Kai observed the situation. He confirmed Rin's power varied by target, then asked if Murray was still alive. Yoshi explained that she was in pain, but still breathing. Hence, Kai instructed him to carry her and leave, but Yoshi hesitated and wanted to help. However, Kai asked him if he intended to let Mary continue suffering. Realizing the urgency, he agreed and was told to call for help if he saw Shuji or Luna. After that, Kai turned to face the monster. Without delay, he activated his judgment ability. There, he saw the armored bear status and noted its high defense. Moreover, its fur appeared incredibly tough, so he doubted that his attacks could cause damage. Furthermore, the mutant species labeled intrigued him. Suddenly, Rin shouted that she could no longer hold it off. As a result, the bear was released. Despite that, Kai said she bought Yoshi time and suggested they retreat too. Though surprised, agreed. However, she suddenly collapses and is unable to move her legs. As the bear approached, Kai realized the situation was about to turn worse, so he quickly pulled out smoke grenades. Using the smoke, it separated Rin from the bear. When Rin opened her eyes, she saw Kai's face. Moreover, he was carrying her, so she was confused. However, Kai told her to stay quiet or the bear might hear them. As he continued to monitor the bear's movements, Rin asked about the smoke earlier. He claimed it was just a smoke bomb from training, though it wasn't true. In reality, he actually had basic assassin gear before being summoned, but used it only when needed. Suddenly, Rin apologized, which left him puzzled. She said she wanted to help others, but needed it herself, but Kai said he'd still listen to her. Touched by his words, Rin shyly thanked him. In response, Kai said people must like her for being gentle, but she quickly denied it. With that, he instructed her to stay quiet once more. Setting that aside, Rin asked his next move and suggested running, but Kai said it wasn't needed. Meanwhile, the bear continued searching for them until its attention was caught by a new presence. It turned out to be Shuji's group who had come to confront the beast for attacking their ally. Without hesitation, Shuji activated his evil crushing sword. With this, he faced the monster head-on. Shuji immediately charged toward the bear. When the bear also attacked, he dodged swiftly and tightened his grip on his sword. He then swung it and struck the bear's arm, but he quickly realized how tough its body was. Seeing this, Rina shouted for him to move to not get burned. After that, she unleashed a wave of fire at the bear. As the flames engulfed it, Rina mockingly asked if the beast could endure the heat. Watching this, Shuji praised her, but the bear suddenly began to rise again and was visibly enraged. Rina was shocked by this, but Shuji urged her to stay calm. He noted that her attack worked as the bear moved slower. Knowing this, he called on the girls to finish it off together, and they quickly agreed. As the battle continued, an assassin demon named Delphis watched from a distance. He thought it was only a matter of time now. Seeing their growth and calm, he felt the bear had no chance. Moreover, he thinks Shuji's the best among them. Abandoning the scouting mission, Delphis decided to eliminate them all. Meanwhile, Shuji landed another powerful blow. With this, he dealt significant damage to the bear. He then moved to finish it, but Delphis aimed to teach him a fatal lesson. Watching Shuji fight, he recalled the greatest mistake one could make in this world. While they celebrated, he recalled the mistake of assuming an enemy was dead. Unexpectedly, Delphi's was stopped. He froze upon feeling a blade at his neck. Startled, he asked Kai when he had gotten behind him. Kai replied his parents taught him the biggest mistake is thinking you've won too soon. At that, Delphi's dropped his weapon and raised his hands in surrender. As he said, he'd remember Kai's words. He wondered how Kai got behind him. Still, what mattered now was escaping. But before he could act, Kai struck his legs, causing him to collapse immediately. Kai then told him to stay quiet so the others wouldn't notice. He also demanded answers, but Delphi's refused and asked who he was. So Kai replied he was someone from the shadows from another world, which left Delphi stunned. Gritting his teeth, Delphi suspected Kai was behind the strange presence he sensed earlier. Kai then said he knew they were being watched and used Chuji to lure Delphi's out. Realizing this, Delphi's knew Kai had seen through it all from the start. Ignoring him, Kai demanded information about the demons. When Delphi's refused, Kai struck him without warning. Kai then warned him to speak the truth or face something far worse. Still, Delphi's refused to be looked down on. In desperation, he bit down on something hidden. Kai tried to stop him, but it was too late. Blood poured from Delphi's mouth and his eyes turned white. Seeing this, Kai did not expect Delphi's to have poison with him. Nevertheless, he realized the Demon King's army was stronger and prepared. Suddenly, a status window appeared beside him. Out of nowhere, someone called his name. It was Rin, and she quickly asked if the man was dead. Hence, Kai looked at her with a serious expression. Noticing her staring at the corpse, he asked how long she had been watching. Rin admitted she'd been there since the man collapsed. Hearing this, Kai said the man was a Demon King's assassin. He added that the bear they fought was controlled by the demon. Additionally, the lizard that attacked Rune and the others was also his doing. Upon hearing this, Rin asked if the demons were trying to kill them. Kai confirmed the demons were after them, making Rin realize her naivety. However, she wondered how he noticed the assassin when no one else did. Seeing no reason to hide it, Kai revealed his family were assassins, and he recognized the demon by scent. Learning this, Rin was visibly surprised. So Kai said she could believe him or not, but the corpse before them was real, which left her even more alarmed. Regardless, he warned her not to tell anyone what she had seen, as the class was already shaken because of Murray's condition. Rin quickly agreed, but she found him surprisingly kind to care about their classmates. In response, Kai said they weren't like him who is used to fighting. After that, he looked at Rin and thought her domination ability could be useful later. Soon, the class gathered around Murray. A student named Hanno used her healing ability on her. As she cast the spell, Murray's wounds began to fade. Witnessing this, the others were astonished. Meanwhile, Yoshi asked if Murray would be fine, and she said she'd recover an hour. Hearing this, Yoshi felt relieved and praised Chuji for defeating the powerful bear. Chuji acknowledged the praise, but stressed that it had been a team effort. While the others were talking, Kai sensed someone staring. So he asked Ren why she was staring, but she refused to explain. Shortly after, Luna arrived and commended them for making it back, but Shuji turned to face her with some hesitation. So Yoshi asked Luna and Gaius where they have been the whole time. Gaius said he stayed to observe, prompting Yoshi to ask why he hadn't helped. Gaius replied that it wouldn't be good practice if he rescued them every time, but Shuji protested, pointing out that Murray had nearly died. However, Gaius insisted that risking their lives was a natural part of military drills. He also said this was the battle ahead and told them to stop complaining, leaving them stunned. Still, Shuji argued that Gaius claimed only weak monsters were nearby. In response, Luna said the demon assassin must have caused the attack. This left the others confused, so she explained armored bears weren't native here and suggested the demon was scouting their combat skills. Understanding this, Gaius said the demon assassin might still be nearby, and Luna urged stronger defenses. She also said training would intensify since they wouldn't survive at their current level, but the students could hardly believe what they were hearing. Some thought their training was already too harsh and began to wonder if they were going to be killed. Shuji then stepped up and argued it was unfair to push them harder after their first real battle. Luna then replied it may seem unfair, but their lives depended on improving. And this response took Shuji by surprise. Meanwhile, Shin asked why they obeyed orders after being summoned unwillingly. As he moved toward Luna, Gaius stepped in to block him. Gaius then declared they were pawns under Luna and must never disobey. Obviously, the statement shocked everyone. Furious, Shin ready to fight, but Shuji stepped in and told him to calm down. However, this made Shin question Shuji's composed attitude. Shuji said disobeying them meant making the country their enemy, and they couldn't win that way. Glad by his understanding, Gaius assured them no harm would come to such important pawns. Still, this idea sounded absurd to Shin, so he continued to attack. Before Gaius could respond, Shin unleashed his destructive blast. As a result, a massive explosion occurred. As the smoke began to clear, Shin called Gaius pathetic. But to his surprise, Gaius emerged from the smoke unscathed. Before Shin could react, Gaius struck him in the face. As a result, he was sent flying into the ground and leaving him barely conscious. Hence, the others were stunned by what they had witnessed. Despite their shock, Gaius reminded them of the power gap. As they left, he warned them to prepare since things would get harder the next day. Immediately, the other students rushed to help Shin, but Shin was only determined to kill Gaius next time. The day after the military drills, the monster researcher Ted was assigned to oversee training. Before starting, he asked if those injured the day before had recovered. Murray quickly responded that she was fine after being healed by Hanno. She also pointed out that Shin had been healed as well. Hearing this, Ted was glad someone had a healing ability. He then explained the training and brought them to his facility to fight monsters. Hearing this, Shuji asked if that meant there were monsters inside the building. Ted didn't confirm directly, but instead chose to show them. Inside the facility, goblins, a lizardville, and an ogre were kept in captivity. The girls were clearly frightened at the sight. Ted explained that these monsters were being raised specifically for his experiments. Luna also added that Ted's laboratory was the ideal location to train their soldiers. So Ted was pleased as the training would give him useful combat data. Meanwhile, Shuji and the others felt nervous. Still, the drills began with Rina going first. From a distance, Kai was surprised by their composure and assumed yesterday's battle was effective. Still, he guessed they were still a little afraid. Meanwhile, Rina was knocked to the ground. Though injured, she immediately stood back up. As the ogre prepared to attack again, Shuji informed Ted it was too strong for her. However, Ted disagreed and reminded them that Luna had instructed him to be strict. Besides, he thinks Shuji is a little mistaken. So he said his hero candidates, their divine protections, should easily handle monsters like that. Annoyed, Runa began to unleash her full power. As flames engulfed the ogre, Ted said willpower was the most important thing in battle. Moreover, the task wasn't hard, but their fear and hesitation made it seem so. Hearing this, Shuji wondered if willpower alone truly made that much difference. Ted then confirmed that it could also help unlock new divine abilities. Suddenly, Kai approached Shuji, prompting him to ask what it was. Kai then informed him that based on his judgment ability, Shuji had awakened a new skill. As Kai said, Shuji had indeed gained a new ability called Monster Kamikaze. Knowing this, Shuji asked Ted if he could test it out, and Ted agreed. With that, Shuji stepped forward to face the ogre next. Immediately, he activated both Evil Crushing Sword and Monster Kamikaze. With confidence, he asked the ogre if it was scared. However, he refused to show mercy and charged straight at it. Seeing Shuji's sword, the ogre tried to block it with its arm. However, Shuji's blade swiftly severed its hand. As the monster screamed in pain, Shuji followed up with another strike. As a result, the ogre was beheaded. Witnessing this, the students erupted into cheers. Meanwhile, Kai thought Shuji could now handle armored bears and wondered if his own ability had evolved too. Curious, he checked the other's status and saw Shin had gained a new ability, which is called Landmine. Despite this, he chose not to tell Shin. But after realizing abilities could grow, Kai knew he had to improve too. Later that night, Shin gathered with the other students. Yoshi immediately asked if he was serious. Shin confirmed his plan to kill Gaius, then capture Luna to learn how to return home. The others were then excited to go home and avoid being summoned again if Luna was gone. Encouraged, Shin invited Yoshi to join by saying he must be tired of their treatment. But Yoshi asked if they could win, and he said their chances were better with him. Still, Yoshi thinks that killing someone was wrong even if it meant returning home. However, he remembered what had happened to Murray during the battle. In the end, he agreed to join them. The next day, the class continued their training. Among them, Shuji stood out. Watching him, Kai couldn't help but comment on how hard he was working. But Shuji said he still felt weak and had to grow stronger. Still, Kai thought Shuji was strong enough to beat most knights. But Shuji disagreed, saying he needed more strength to beat Gaius and protect everyone. After hearing this, Kai asked what he thought about Luna and Gaius. Shuji replied that he believed they were just pawns, but would be safe if they obeyed. Hearing this, Kai asked if he was ready to fight and risk his life until the Demon King fell. With determination, Shuji confirmed that he had made up his mind, but he felt it was his duty to defeat the Demon King and become this country's hero. With this in mind, he planned to fight for the others' safety, but Kai doubted Luna would agree. In response, Shuji said if she refused, he convinced her with his sword. Suddenly, a voice praised them for their dedication. When they turned around, they saw Luna and Gaius approaching. Ted immediately greeted Luna with enthusiasm. In response, Luna tasked him to lead the others while she and Gaius were away, and Ted agreed. Hearing this, Rina asked if they were going somewhere. Luna confirmed they'd be gone for days, so she asked Ted to watch over them. After saying this, she quickly excused herself. As they walked away, a slight smile appeared on Ted's face. Later on their way, Gaius asked Luna if her plan was truly the right one. Luna responded by asking what made him question it. Gaius told her to stop pretending, saying she knew Shin was plotting. Luna admitted that it was probably a rebellion against them. Knowing that, he asked what she intended to do about it. Luna said she'd leave them for now since she's curious how far they'd go. Still, Gaius reminded her the hero candidates had enough power to challenge them. However, she believed that would never happen as they would never be able to defeat her. Gaius reluctantly agreed, and she emphasized it was the perfect chance to establish a hierarchy. With that, they would crush the rebellion and shatter their fangs for good. Besides, she noticed other suspicious acts but chose to ignore them for now. Later that night, Kai was being chased by a monster. Without hesitation, he pulled out a knife and hurled it into the monster's head. After killing it, he used his ability to confirm it took 13 seconds to beat a monster of that level. As he checked his status, he figured he leveled up after killing the demon, but wasn't sure how to use his new power. Suddenly, he sensed something behind him. An ogre appeared and was about to strike, but the ogre's punch hit the debris nearby instead. Still surprised by its sudden appearance, Kai quickly reacted as the ogre launched another attack. He drew multiple knives and threw them at it, but to his shock, none of them pierced the ogre's skin. Realizing this, he decided to test his new skill. After activating weak point detection, a glowing circle appeared on the ogre's back shoulder. Taking advantage of this, he maneuvered behind the ogre and threw a knife directly into the marked spot. After the ogre let out a guttural scream, it fell silent. Looking at the corpse, Kai realized the skill revealed the creature's weak spot. Though useful, Kai knew the ability wasn't enough since he needed more to survive. Clenching his fist, he vowed to become even stronger. Soon after, 3 goblins suddenly appeared. In response, Kai activated his weak point detection. The skill marked each goblin's head and heart as weak points. Knowing this, he threw his knives and accurately struck their heads and hearts. With that, he killed them instantly. While retrieving his weapons, he doubted the skills since goblin weak points were obvious. Knowing this, he decided to find a stronger creature to test his skill. Unexpectedly, he heard footsteps nearby. Turning around, he spotted a figure, and it was Rin. Immediately, he asked what she was doing out so late. Rin said she didn't find him in the dorms and guessed he was in the forest. Kai then told her to return since the forest was dangerous at night. However, Rin shot back that it should be her line. With that, he said he was used to the night and fighting monsters in the dark was risky for her. Still, she told him to shut up and demanded to know what he was doing. Kai replied that he was testing out his new divine protection. Seeing her confused, he reminded her Ted said their abilities could evolve with divine protection level-ups. Curious, she asked what new ability he had gained, but he countered by asking why he should tell her. Frustrated, she exclaimed that she came after being worried about. However, he questioned if she truly was. Embarrassed, Rin denied it and said it was just a figure of speech. Moving on, he asked her to return to the dorms as he wanted to keep testing his ability. Rin then tried to go with him, but she noticed something in the distance. She pointed toward a plume of smoke, which puzzled Kai. Looking up, they saw the smoke rising from a burning building. Near the blaze, goblins, Elizurbil, and an ogre were emerging. Meanwhile, Hanno and the others were trying to escape the fire, but Hanno found herself face to face with the ogre. Just in time, Shuji arrived and struck down the ogre. After saving her, he asked if she was all right, and she quickly confirmed that she was. Unexpectedly, a group of goblins appeared before them. So Shuji muttered a curse as more enemies appeared. Suddenly, flames engulfed the goblins. Nearby, Rina grumbled about monsters ruining her sleep, but Shin asked her to stop complaining and handle the monsters quickly. As the building continued burning, Kai and Rin rushed toward it. Upon arriving, they realized it was their dorm and saw the others already fighting. Suddenly, Yoshi noticed them and felt relieved to see they were safe. Kai then asked what happened, but Yoshi said he just woke up to this. Hearing this, Kai guessed a human caused the attack and they needed to find the ringleader. Just then, Ted appeared and praised Kai for his sharp deduction, but the group was stunned to see that it was him. Kai then realized how the monsters got in and asked they came from Ted's lab. Ted confirmed it and said he also gave the monsters medicine to make them stronger. Hearing this, Kai asked his goal and how killing hero candidates helped him. Ted said he was ordered to eliminate the candidates even at the cost of his position. Knowing this, Rin asked if Luna had given the order, but Ted clarified he meant the Demon King, not her. Immediately, Yoshi asked if Ted was a spy for the Demon King. As others fought, Ted confirmed it and added he gained a top research post in the Demon King's army. Seeing Ted had sunk into darkness, Kai asked if he only cared about monster experiments. In response, Ted claimed humanity could never understand the true nature of monsters. As the chaos continued, Ted stood tall on the walls. He then signaled the monsters, prompting them to attack the students. In response, Kai gave a signal to Rin. Immediately, she used her ability to order the monsters to halt. Obeying her, the monsters stopped. She then pointed at Ted and declared that he was the real enemy. However, Ted replied that it was pointless and commanded the monsters to awaken. Witnessing this, Run was obviously shocked. Ted then reminded them that he was a scientist and knew how to handle them. With that, he gave a command for the monsters to attack her. Seeing this, Kai told Rin to step back. He then charged forward and began attacking the monsters one after another. Still, Ted laughed and warned that there were more on the way. Soon, multiple monsters appeared. Acting quickly, Kai rushed towards and struck down the goblin first. He then stabbed the Lizarbal in the head. When the ogre came forward, he kicked it with tremendous force. As a result, the ogre was knocked out. Witnessing Kai's strength, the remaining monsters hesitated. Noticing this, Ted shouted at them that Kai did not even have a powerful divine protection. Meanwhile, Kai activated his ability and scanned Ted's status. There, he found the domination sorcery ability, revealing the monsters were under a stronger command than Rin's. Knowing this, he recalled Ted saying strong demons used domination sorcery to control monsters. Meanwhile, Ted grew uneasy and decided to use his trump card. With this in mind, he whistled loudly. Hearing this, Kai asked what he had done, but Ted only replied that they would find out soon enough. Ignoring this, Kai prepared to finish the fight quickly. However, he saw something coming. He narrowly dodged an incoming fireball. After reaching safety, he looked up and questioned the massive creature emerging. In response, the monster growled furiously. Ted then proudly revealed it was a red dragon and his trump card. Following that, the dragon noticed a nearby house and kicked the chimney. As a result, the flying debris came hurling toward Kai and the others. Seeing this, Rin doubted they could dodge in time, but Kai quickly shielded her. After that, Kai asked if she was alright, but she was still in shock. So Kai then turned to Yoshi, instruct him to take Rin away because the next attack was coming. After the dragon flapped its wings, Kai signaled Yoshi to get away. Observing the dragon, he spotted a weak point on its neck. Knowing this, he aimed for it and struck. But his knife shattered on impact and the dragon remained unharmed. Realizing its scales were too tough, Kai knew his power wasn't enough. Suddenly, Shin appeared and declared that the dragon would be the perfect prey. With that, he activated his destructive blast and launched an attack. After the blow landed, he asked the dragon if he liked his move. But before he could react, the dragon breathed fire on him. Shin was then engulfed in flames and rolled to put them out. Seeing this, Kai reminded Shin he let his guard down, but admitted he was strong. On the other hand, Shin commented that the dragon's attack was painful. Suddenly, Kai told him to listen, and this made him confused. Regardless, Kai emphasized that they needed to take the dragon down together. However, Shin questioned why he would need Kai's help. Kai said he could spot the dragon's weak points, but lacked the power to exploit them. Hearing this, Shin realized that Kai was the one who needed his help. Still, he refused to team up with someone he called a noob. With that, Kai reminded him that the dragon was coming. At that moment, the dragon swung its tail toward them, and Shin barely managed to dodge the attack. Following that, the dragon began to build up fire in its mouth. While Shin was still processing the situation, it unleashed a blast of flames toward him. He narrowly dodged it, though he stood up with visible pain. Seeing this, Kai said he could continue if he still believed he could beat it alone. Reluctantly, Shin asked where the dragon's weak point was. Kai responded that there was a scale on its neck that was upside down. Upon looking, Shin immediately spotted it. Kai then said he would distract the dragon while Shin charged his destructive blast. Hearing this, Shin confidently replied that he could handle that with ease. Suddenly, Ted began shouting at the dragon for hesitating and ordered it to kill everyone. The dragon then roared and flapped its wings fiercely in their direction. Despite the strong wind, Shin and Kai managed to stay on their feet. As the dragon became more aggressive, Kai sprang into action. After the dragon noticed him, he had it follow him. As he was chased, it tried to bite him, but he evaded the attack. After gaining enough distance, he gave a signal to Shin. Shin acknowledged it and aimed his destructive blast at the dragon's neck. As a result, the dragon groaned in pain, and soon after, its body collapsed to the ground. Witnessing this, Ted was stunned. Meanwhile, Shin casually claimed that it had been easy, but Kai disagreed since Shin was too beaten up, which made him furious. Moving on, Kai asked Ted what he'd do next after losing his trump card. In a panic, Ted claimed he still had plenty of monsters left. But when he glanced around, he realized most of them had already been defeated. Shuji then stepped forward and confirmed that they had taken care of the rest. Realizing this, Ted tried to escape, but Yoshi blocked his path. As a result, he slipped against the wall and fell. However, he was caught by a block of water. When he rose from the water, he found a knife pointed at him. Kai then said they'd wasted enough time, but he still had questions. Terrified, Ted begged to talk as long as they spared his life. However, his eyes suddenly turned purple, and this shocked everyone. Moments later, Ted was declared dead. Shuji then asked what happened, and Kai guessed it was a curse like those in the books at the library. After hearing this, Shinji realized Ted was cursed to die if he spoke. Knowing this, Kai warned that the Demon King's army was still a threat to them. The next day at the castle, Luna expressed her surprise at the incident. However, Yoshi pointed out that she should at least apologize for having left Ted in charge. In response, Luna apologized for the misunderstanding, but she clarified she never thought a weak demon tamer could cause such destruction. Upon hearing this, the students were stunned. Rina immediately asked if she knew Ted was a demon and still let him lead. Luna responded that the incident was part of the tougher training she had warned about. Still, the students insisted they almost died when Ted set the fire, but Gaius scolded them instead for acting childish and failing to stay alert. However, his remark only infuriated them further. However, Kai agreed that they missed the monsters, but expecting so much from students felt unfair. Moving on, Luna told them their next stop was the royal capital. Shuji immediately asked what they would be doing there. She explained that a public parade would be held in their honor. Thus, they would be going on stage as the main participants. Later that night, Gaius dismissed the guards so they could rest. Meanwhile, the students gathered around their tents. While eating, Shin informed the others that about 30 soldiers were stationed nearby. The others were confused, so he clarified that he had counted the number of soldiers accompanying them. He also noted that none seemed particularly impressive. Knowing this, one lackey noted Shin could knock them out with one punch, but questioned him. Noticing their confusion, Shin said it was the perfect time to start their plan. The second lackey agreed, pointing out that unlike before, they now outnumbered the soldiers surrounding them. Shin added that their situation showed they were being underestimated, so he suspected the authorities hadn't even considered a rebellion. With that, he decided they would act tonight and ordered them to call Yoshi's group. Unbeknownst to them, Kai had been eavesdropping. He silently agreed with Shin that the few soldiers present were poorly trained, but that was only because Luna and Gaius were confident in them, and he wondered why. With that in mind, he called Shuji over and asked if they could talk. Not far from the campsite, Shin and his group stood together. Shin asked if they thought the others not on watch duty were already asleep. Yoshi confirmed that they were, so Shin decided it was time to begin. However, Shuji's group appeared to stop them. Seeing them, Shin's group was caught off guard. Shuji stepped up and said he'd heard they planned to kill Luna and Gaius. In response, Shin asked who told him that, but Shuji only replied that he had overheard it while passing by. Rina then asked if they were really going through with something this insane, but Shin calls them insane instead for letting Luna treat them like lapdogs. Shuji admitted he understood, but said this was too much and they needed another way. But Shin accused him of empty talk, so he revealed his plan to follow Luna, defeat the Demon King to ensure their safety. Still, Shin claimed that Luna would never listen. However, Shuji believed that gaining strength would give him the power to change things. Regardless, Shin declared he didn't need protection and told Shuji to step aside. But Shuji stood firm and declared that they would stop them no matter what. In response, Shin's group moved in to confront them. Without hesitation, Shin delivered a powerful kick to Shuji, sending him flying. With that, Shuji was shocked by the strength and speed behind it. At the same time, Shin couldn't believe that Shuji had actually withstood his strike. Unexpectedly, 2 guards arrived and asked what they were doing. Shin grew tense, but Shuji quickly responded that they were just discussing something. Hearing this, the guards told them to rest since they'd be up early the next morning. Once the guards left, Shuji turned his gaze back to Shin. Shin muttered that everything was becoming tiresome. Shuji stayed silent, so Shin said he'd had enough and ended their confrontation. At the royal capital of Digairis, the surroundings were filled with the festive atmosphere. Seeing this, Yoshi couldn't help but be in awe. However, Murray thought the crowd was a bit too much. In response, Rinia pointed out that it still wasn't as crowded as Tokyo, and Yumi agreed. Soon after, the parade began. The people around quickly turned their attention toward the arriving group. Gaius then ordered them to clear the road and make way for Luna and the hero candidates. Upon hearing this, the crowd began to wonder if these were truly the ones chosen by the gods. When they saw them, cheers erupted from the spectators. So Shuji raised his hand to greet the crowd in response. Meanwhile, Shin and the others appeared visibly irritated. At the same time, Kai saw the people's faith in them as their savior, but Rin found it unsettling. With that thought, Kai turned his gaze toward the royal castle. After the parade, they were welcomed by the holy knight who instructed them to rest. Immediately, the students quickly sank into bed and were grateful after nights on the ground. On the other hand, the girls were delighted to relax in the warm bath. Just like them, Shin's group was overjoyed to finally eat with generous portions. Elsewhere, Shuji chose to dedicate himself to training. Meanwhile, Kai continued to observe the castle closely and decided to gather some information. However, he noticed guards stationed by the door and patrolling the hallways. Realizing the risk of being caught, he decided not to move around for now. Suddenly, attention was caught by the presence of Reigns, who had been their guide earlier. With that, he decided to eavesdrop. A guard asked Reigns where the hero candidates were, and he said they were likely resting. The guard then asked if the kids were chosen by the gods, and Reigns said they were clearly special. Still, the guard feared bringing the heroes might provoke the Demon King's followers. Another guard agreed, noting recent unusual activity and urged more caution. Hearing this, Kai wonders who the Demon King's followers are. And meanwhile, Reigns assured them the hero candidates would protect the capital. With that, he reminded them that it was time for training and left. However, Kai's questions continued to build, so he decided to head into town. Later that night, inside a tavern, the patrons were busy with their own affairs. Suddenly, someone ordered a jug of ale and the tavern's best snack. In response, the bartender quickly complied with Kai's request. Not long after, some men said the hero candidates looked like kids, but one warned them not to let the church hear them. Hearing this, Kai guessed the church held more power than kings or nobles by how carefully people spoke about it. Soon, his drink arrived. Taking the opportunity, he asked the bartenders some questions and he agreed. So Kai asked about the Demon King's followers. Hearing this, the bartender assumed Kai didn't know the country was at war with the demon army. So he said the Demon King is a terrifying monster whose power can even seduce humans. Additionally, the Demon King's followers caused chaos, like the noble's estate bombing recently. Kai then called it troubling and saw the Demon King's followers as a terrorist group. As he walked back through the city streets, he realized the hero's presence could provoke attacks, which explained the unease. Suddenly, he heard someone call his name, and it was Rin. After finally spotting him, she asked where he had been. He told her he had gone out to gather information. Concerned, she reminded him that it was dangerous to go alone and offered to help him. However, he refused and told her to be quiet, which irritated her and called out his attitude. With that, he finally agreed to let her help. After being assigned to gather info, Rin gladly accepted it. Soon, she walked away happily. Unbeknownst to her, a man in a robe had been watching her. With that, the man couldn't help but grin. After returning to his room, Kai found no useful info but confirmed a new enemy's presence just as he settled in. A loud noise outside caught his attention, which is unusual. After he stepped out, he saw several students gathering. When he asked what happened, they explained that Rin was missing. It was first discovered by her roommate Hanno, so everyone started the search. Though unnoticed due to having no roommate, Kai knew the situation was serious. When Shuji asked if he knew anything, he denied it and claimed he had been asleep the entire time. Hearing this, Shuji began thinking. After that, he told the group Rin wasn't in the castle and urged them to search outside. Hearing this, Rin now wanted to leave Rin be, but she still followed Shuji. Meanwhile, Kai knew that most people in town should be sleeping now. Regardless, he decided to check the town, and he believed Rin could still be nearby. While walking, something on the ground caught his attention. Upon inspection, he discovered it was Rin's ID. Unexpectedly, someone appeared behind him. Soon, several figures launched a surprise attack. Kai reacted immediately by countering one attacker with his knife. He then caught another's wrist and forced his blade against his comrade's neck. When one of them rushed forward again, Kai delivered a powerful kick to his head. The attacker reached for a fallen knife, but Kai stomped on his skull, which surprised the other attacker. Seeing him, Kai noted their poor coordination and lack of proper training. Moreover, they looked like clumsy civilians, and this made him question their goal. As one of the men trembled in fear, Kai demanded answers. Elsewhere, Rin was being held captive in a dungeon. Seeing her angry look, her captors mocked her attempts to fight back. Still, she remained defiant and refused to reveal anything. The captors then claimed to only want information about the hero candidates, but she refused to do so, so they tore her blouse. Seeing her embarrassed, her captors asked her if she could still continue to resist. Unbeknown to them, Kai was already nearby. After checking their status, he was surprised Rin was taken by such weak people. Regardless, he threw his knives and it directly hit the captors' heads. Seeing her captors suddenly fall down, Rin was momentarily confused. Suddenly, he heard someone call her name and was surprised to see it was Kai. As he freed her, she tried to apologize, but he signaled her to stay quiet first. Once released, Rin thanked him, but he suddenly felt something felt off, so he became alert and looked toward the entrance. A moment later, a figure emerged and attacked with a sword. Luckily, Kai dodged the strike with Rin in his arms. Seeing Kai dodge, Rains coldly said he'd have to kill them for real. As Kai got a better look at him, he recognized Rains as the man from the Knight's Order. Rains confirmed his identity and revealed his true title as General of the Demon King's army. With that, Kai realized the capital was full of enemies and that the country was nearing collapse. But Rains replied that the end would come even faster once the hero candidates were dead. As Kai faced Rains, he activated his ability. After checking his status, he saw Rains had B rank stats across the board and couldn't be underestimated. Meanwhile, Rains did not hesitate and immediately launched an attack, but Kai managed to dodge his sword. Seeing this, Rains followed up by casting fire magic. A fireball raced toward Kai, and he narrowly avoided it. Witnessing this, Kai realized that Rains has fire attribute magic. But to his surprise, Rains closed in midair where Kai could no longer dodge. In response, Kai threw a knife at him, but Rains dodged it and called it useless. Following that, he engulfed his sword in flames. With this, he declared that it was the end for Kai. Unexpectedly, Kai drew his gun. As a result, the bullet struck Rains in the forehead. After bringing Rains down, Kai looked at the gun that he hadn't planned to use for something like this considering he had limited ammunition. Still, he admitted jumping was a fatal mistake and reminded himself to learn close combat. Just then, Rin asked if he was holding a gun. He replied it was standard assassin gear, but she found it scary that a classmate had a gun. Regardless, she still thanked him for coming to save her, but he brushed it off as coincidence and changed the topic to her domination ability. Rin then explained she couldn't use magic while chained, but now she was fine. Hearing this, he realized that the chains must have been enchanted. Moving on, he handed her coat back and reminded her that they needed to leave. Before they did, Rin told him her captors planned to attack their classmates. In response, he confirmed he heard the same from an attacker he caught. Earlier, the man had begged for his life, but Kai told him it would depend on whether he confessed. Under pressure, the man revealed they were ordered to kill the hero candidates. After hearing this, Kai asked if he had killed Rin, but the man denied it, saying she was alive and meant to be used as a hostage. Later, as they headed back, Kai was surprised Rain survived unlike Ted, leading him to suspect it wasn't demons doing. Rin confirmed they were human zealots and couldn't believe they're not their allies. Hence, Kai warned her not to be fooled, like how she was chained after she let her guard down. Annoyed, Rin said they answered her questions, but he questioned why she wasn't suspicious. Hearing this, she finally admitted that she had been careless. Suddenly, they heard someone calling out to them. Looking up, they saw Shuji running toward them. Seeing Shuji relieved to see her safe, she quickly apologized for causing worry. Despite everything, Shuji was glad she was unharmed and asked if Kai had found her. Kai replied that they needed to talk, which made Shuji realize that something serious had happened. Kai explained that human cultists serving the Demon King were targeting the hero candidates. Hearing this, Shuji realized humans were harder to identify than monsters. Kai also agreed and suggested that everyone be reminded to stay cautious. Hence, Shuji planned to report it to Luna and hope she'd boost their defenses. But Rin doubted Luna would act and guess she'd leave it to them, to which Shuji agreed. Regardless, they had to regroup and form the others still searching for Rin. Suddenly, a loud noise echoed nearby. They looked up and saw smoke rising in the distance. Moments later, a group of robed individuals surrounded them. Upon seeing them, Shuji guessed they had been waiting for this moment. Kai confirmed it and urged everyone to prepare for battle. Just like Kai's group, Yoshi's group, Rina's group, and Shin's group were also surrounded by enemies. Upon checking their status, Kai saw the enemies had lower stats than Rain's, but were clearly skilled as one of them gave the command to attack. All 6 enemies charged at Kai's group. Kai then immediately signaled Rin. In response, she ordered the enemies to halt. As a result, they were suddenly immobilized. Taking the opportunity, Kai threw his knives and struck the enemies directly in the forehead. Shocked by this, Shuji reminded him that they were humans, not demons. However, Kai firmly stated that they were still enemies. When Shuji tried to object, Kai pointed out that there was still one enemy left. That's when Shuji noticed someone approaching from behind. Reacting quickly, he blocked the enemy's sword with his own. While clashing, Shuji asked the attacker why they were doing this when they were all human. The enemy simply replied that everything they did was to serve their master. Rin then attempted to help, but Kai stopped her and this confused her. Hence, he told her not to interfere since he wanted Shuji to handle it himself. With that, Shuji sprang into action and shattered the man's sword. While the attacker was surprised, Shuji gave him a chance to live if he surrendered. However, the enemy believed Shuji was mocking him and launched another attack. As a result, Shuji's arm was hit. Laughing at Shuji's injury, the man taunted him, which only frustrated Shuji more. So he retaliated by slashing the enemy down. Although the man collapsed, he was still conscious and muttered that he wasn't finished yet. Seeing this, Kai urged Shuji to end it, but Shuji intended to leave the man to die naturally. Still, Kai refused and insisted that Shuji must eliminate the threat. Shuji then asked how he stayed calm, but Kai said it was about choices. Moreover, their classmates are still in danger and need his help. With that, he asked Shuji if he valued enemies' lives over their friends' safety. Faced with reality, Shuji made his choice. After finishing off the man, he declared with resolve that he was going to save everyone. Meanwhile, in an alley, enemy bodies were scattered across the ground. At that same spot, Shin stood before the last conscious enemy. The enemy struggled, but Shin only grinned. He then struck the man with his fist, sending him flying and rendering him unconscious. Watching this, his lackeys commented on his mercilessness. Elsewhere, some enemies were still alive, so Rina launched a fireball. As a result, the men were burned alive. However, she wondered why there were so many of them. Looking around, she asked where the others were and told her team to finish off the rest. However, the girls hesitated because their enemies were human. In response, Rina asked if they wanted to die. As expected, both Mina and Yumi were attacked due to their hesitation. Seeing this, Rina questioned the humans. Suddenly, Luna appeared and asked if she should just give everyone a passing grade. Upon seeing her, everyone's attention turned to Luna. The enemies immediately recognized her as the saint. In response, Luna confirmed it while saying it was natural to help her subordinates. However, enemy mocked her for coming alone and asked if she was insulting them by this. Unbothered, she called them foolish amateurs unworthy of being her enemies. Angered, the man ordered the others to kill her. Immediately, they charged toward Luna. But before they could reach her, she calmly smiled and muttered the word prostrate. In an instant, the man and his allies collapsed. Soon, they realized they couldn't move and that even trying to get up was impossible. Watching this, Rinna noted that it seemed similar to Rinna's power. However, Luna refused to be compared to that skill, so she stated that her own domination skill surpassed Rin's in both power and range. After hearing that, Rinna asked why she had come to save them. Luna said she mentioned a passing grade, but would have preferred they handled it themselves. Regardless, Rinna thanked her, but Luna replied that it was her duty to protect her subordinates. Suddenly, one of the subdued enemies tugged at her dress. He then demanded attention and asked what she planned to do with them. Seeing that he was still conscious, Luna apologized. Following that, she used domination on the hero candidates as well. As a result, they were forced to raise their weapons. Without hesitation, they aimed them at the remaining enemies. One of the enemies begged for his life, but Mina was unable to resist and was forced to stab him with her own hand. Meanwhile, Kai and Rin stood nearby. They silently watched as their classmates were made to kill the enemies. Upon witnessing the event, Kai quickly realized that Luna had cast a high-level domination spell. Beside him, Rin agreed Luna's power far surpassed hers in strength, range, and control. Knowing this, he began planning countermeasures against her power. Later that night, inside the castle, Shuji and the others gathered together. Among them, Kai noticed that Rinna remained noticeably quiet. Suddenly, Murray approached her and asked if everyone was okay. In response, Runa revealed that many were still in shock. Hearing this, Murray agreed with her. Meanwhile, Yoshi said Luna should be accountable for forcing them to kill. After saying that, he asked Rinna if she had been controlled as well. Rinna confirmed it, but said that moving on would be harder for the others. Upon hearing this, Shuji took the blame for being late. However, the others quickly told him not to blame himself. Even Rin admitted that they should have arrived earlier, but Kai said it wouldn't have mattered since they weren't strong enough to resist Luna. Earlier, they had split into two groups during the search, which allowed them to save some of the students, though not in time to help Rinna's group. Still, he knew the cult would return despite losing Reins, but something else concerned him more. With that, he called out to Rin and asked her to come with him for a moment. In response, she agreed without hesitation. Later, after they closed the door, Rin asked what he was planning to do. Kai then explained that he needed someone with similar magic to counter Luna's. After Rin agreed, she asked if he had something specific in mind. In response, he told her to dominate him first, but the request made Rin blush in shock. The day after the cult attack, the kingdom held a grand parade for the hero candidates. The event marked the capital's admiration for the candidates after fighting the demon cult. With this, Shuji and the others were embraced with open arms, acknowledging the cheers. Yoshi and Muir waved at the crowd, while Shin simply observed them with little enthusiasm. Like him, both Kai and Rin appeared hesitant. However, Kai found the celebration too prepared and suspected Luna had planned it. If true, it confirmed his belief that she was more dangerous than she seemed. Later, near the gate, the candidates were assembled. Once everyone arrived, Luna announced they would return to the Temple City Alpha. But Rin didn't know Alpha, so Kai said it was their summon site under Luna's control. Upon learning this, Shuji asked if Luna would not be joining them. She then explained that Gaius would take over while she handled the recent incident. Hearing this, Reinen noted their old dorms were already burned down, making another girl laugh. But she stopped and noticed that some of her classmates were unusually quiet. Concerned, Rina turned to Yumi and asked if she was all right. Yumi gave a nervous reply and told her not to worry, but Luna suddenly questioned if something was wrong. Startled by this, Yumi lost her balance. Thankfully, Rina managed to catch her in time. As Rina checked on Yumi, Luna watched them in silence. She then stated that she would be taking her leave. However, Rina shouted at her to stop. Luna paused, but Yumi quickly begged Rina to let it go and assured her that she was fine. With that, Luna gave a pleased smile and resumed her farewell. As she walked away, Shuji stared at her sharply. Kai and Shin also watched her with visibly different reactions. Not long after, Gaius reminded the group that it was time to depart. That night, the class set up camp outdoors. While the others rested, Shin and his group slipped away into the forest. Observing this, Kai commented that Shin was finally putting their plan into motion. Upon hearing this, Rin asked if they were really going to go through with it. Kai replied that Luna was no longer around and only 30 weak soldiers were stationed as guards, given that this was the best opportunity to kill Gaius, and there was no reason for him to stop them. Meanwhile, Yoshi guided Gaius through the forest, saying he'd seen a dragon-like monster nearby. As they walked, Yoshi remarked it was odd as he was sure he'd seen it nearby before. Gaius then said the area led to the capital, so if a dragon lived there, it must be reported for a hunt. Just then, Yoshi suddenly shouted and pointed towards something in the distance, so Gaius drew his sword. At that moment, Shin leapt from behind and unleashed his destructive blast. Almost caught in the attack's path, Yoshi scolded Shin for nearly hitting him. Meanwhile, Gaius managed to avoid the worst of it, but he still took damage. Enraged, he cursed Shin by calling him a bastard, but Shin simply remarked that Gaius was one tough opponent for surviving his full-power attack. Determined to finish the job, Shin continued his assault. Gaius then tried to create some distance, but as Shin mocked that tough bastards were his specialty, Gaius stepped on a trap. With Shin's landmine magic, the explosion hit him directly. After that, Shin said they lured him here, so a trap was certain. Despite that, Gaius remained standing. So he noted that despite using defense mana, the attack still badly hurt Gaius. Regardless, Gaius accused him of relying on cheap tricks and admitted to underestimating him. But Shin simply thanked him and said he'd kill him no matter tactics. Soon, the rest of Shin's group emerged and surrounded Gaius. Still, Gaius stood his ground and ready his sword. Hence, Shin gave the order for them to show no mercy on him. Realizing the situation was dire, Gaius pulled something from inside his clothes and threw it into the air. It shot upward and exploded. Watching it, Shuji wondered aloud what it was, while Rin quietly admired how beautiful it looked. But Kai immediately realized that it meant Shin had made a critical mistake. Meanwhile, the guards noticed the light in the sky and wondered if it was a distress signal. After realizing that Gaius was missing, they quickly assumed he was under attack. One guard quickly ordered the others to check the signal's location. However, he was suddenly attacked. After seeing it was Kai, the guards were caught off guard. Without hesitation, Kai held a knife to a guard's neck and declared he had to die. With that, he swiftly sliced his throat. The remaining guards rushed to retaliate, but Kai evaded their attacks with ease. Fooling that, he stabbed one of them in the head, then hurled his body into another. When that guard tried to block with his spear, Kai moved in and stabbed him in the side. Shocked, the remaining guards asked why a hero candidate would do this. But Kai raised his blade while warning there was no time for questions and mercilessly eliminated the rest. Meanwhile, Gaius was still surrounded. The other students began their assault, but he managed to block each attack. So Yoshi summoned his magic and launched a wind lance. One of his allies amplified its power with support magic. Noticing the sudden surge in force, Gaius immediately leapt away to avoid the impact. Even so, the other students chased after him. He initially thought they were slow, but to his shock, his sword broke due to the students' steel body power. Realizing this, Gaius cursed the strength of their divine protections. Before he could recover, Shin launched his next attack, which was an explosion. The blast hit Gaius hard and sent him towards the back. Now exhausted and missing an arm, Gaius was barely standing. Even then, Shin acknowledged his persistence. Suddenly, Yoshi warned that Gaius was trying to buy time using the earlier distress call, but Gaius replied that there was no longer any need. At that moment, Luna appeared and remarked that Gaius had been pushed into quite the corner, but her sudden arrival stunned Shin and his group. Meanwhile, the remaining guards were already captured and tied up. Seeing this, Shuji asked Rin what she was doing. As Rin used her domination magic, she calmly replied that she was simply following orders, but this puzzled Shuji. Meanwhile, Rina was also surprised since Rin rarely followed what others said. Suddenly, Kai arrived and explained that Rin was following his orders. However, this only confused Shuji further. Rin then reported capturing 7 guards while some escaped, but Kai assured her he handled the rest. Visibly disturbed, Shuji asked what he meant, and Kai bluntly said he killed them all. Hearing this, Rin remarked that he was as merciless as ever. However, this made Shuji question Kai's actions. Kai explained he handled the rest to avoid interference with Shin's fight. Only then did Shuji realize why Shin's group had been absent. But Rina then asked if this was the same rebellion plan they discussed. However, Kai replied there was no need to ask since the tied-up guards were her answer. Still confused, Shuji asked if Kai was siding with Shin, but Kai replied that he was simply doing what he wanted and told Shuji to go find Shin himself. Accepting the urgency, Shuji ended the conversation. With that, he urged the others to go and stop Shin's group. Meanwhile, Luna continued to tell Gaius he seemed to be losing. In response, Gaius admitted it was shameful, but said he could no longer escape aging. At the same time, Yoshi asked Shin about their next plan. Though the situation left them with few options, Shin refused to run away. Still, the others reminded him that Luna had just been the one controlling them. In response, Luna admitted her power was less effective on those with strong mana and resistance, but relying on divine protection made them weak and easy to subdue. Hearing this, Shin called her a coward and said she couldn't win a fair fight. However, Luna just smiled. She then called his taunt cheat but said she'd handle them herself to break their resistance. However, Gaius realized she aimed to enslave them with her skill and felt it went too far. But Luna reminded him that she was the saint, and thus, she was more favored by the gods than any of them. Unexpectedly, Shin made a sudden move toward her. Seeing this, Gaius tried to intervene, but Luna signaled him to stay back. She then called upon the land beneath her. The ground rose up and struck Shin. While he was still disoriented, she called the wind next, so he was struck again and sent him flying. Fortunately, Yoshi caught him. Worried, the big student called Shin. However, Luna summoned fire, which quickly engulfed him. Immediately after, she summoned water and cast it on the other guy. As a result of the water spell, the student couldn't breathe. When the water finally burst, he passed out. Seeing this, the others were stunned. Still, Luna asked if they were finally done. However, Shin answered no. He asked if she really thought she had already won and cursed her. However, Shuji's group suddenly arrived. Looking up, he ordered Shin to stop and asked what he hoped to achieve. In response, Shin asked him not to interfere and that he hated Shuji's pacifist ways. Shuji then turned to Yoshi and asked if he shared Shin's view. Yoshi apologized but emphasized that he couldn't trust Luna anymore. After Shuji fell silent, Rina spoke up by agreeing with Yoshi. She added that if they rebelled, it'd be better to do it together. Surprise, Mary reminded her that violence wasn't the right solution. As Shuji continued to reflect, Luna noted how divided they remained even now. She then said they were already rebels and questioned if stopping now would earn forgiveness. Upon hearing this, Murray, the boys, Rina, Shuji, and Hanno were all visibly shocked. Regardless, Luna summoned wind magic to blow away her enemies. But before it could strike, Yoshi countered with his own spell. Their winds collided in mid-air, creating a violent storm. As the others struggled against the wind, Luna smiled. Hence, Yoshi quickly realized that her magic was pushing him down. Soon, they were all engulfed by the wind. After a while, Shuji managed to escape, but Hanno and the others were clearly injured. Seeing this, Shuji's concern deepened, but Shin told him to calm down and reassured him that no one had died yet. However, he warned Shuji to decide as an action could cost everyone's lives. Hearing this, Shuji finally raised his sword, but he wasn't alone. Rina also ignited her fire magic, saying she had lost her patience. And though reluctant, Murray admitted that this was the only choice left. Together, their group prepared to confront Luna. Seeing this, Luna said she'd show them the gap in power and status. Watching nearby, Rin asked Kai what to do next. After a moment of silence, Kai said he'd act if Luna used her domination magic, but would trust the others until then. Back in the forest, silence settled over each group. Suddenly, Gaius called out to Luna. He expressed his desire to take the front lines. In response, she agreed and killed him first. His wounds began to close and his missing arm regenerated. With both hands now restored, he raised his sword and fully prepared to face Shuji's group once again. Seeing this, Yoshi expressed disappointment since they had managed to corner Gaius earlier. However, Rina said they were stronger now with their numbers and still had a chance to win. At that moment, Luna told them to attack whenever they wish and called the battle a test. But if they couldn't defeat her, she implied that they didn't deserve to be called heroes. Following her words, Shuji signaled the others and ordered them to provide cover. He then charged forward and clashed swords with Gaius. To his surprise, Shuji's sword began slicing through Gaius' blade. Gaius quickly stepped back. He then concluded that a direct sword clash would be impossible against him. Meanwhile, Luna summoned water magic. She then formed icicle arrows aimed at Shuji. Seeing this, Rina countered with fire magic, which melted several projectiles. However, Luna reminded her that more were still coming. As expected, the remaining icicles pushed forward towards Shuji. He then struck them with his sword, but one managed to hit him. Hence, Yoshi grew anxious seeing Shuji take a hit. Suddenly, the rocks began to float due to Murray's telekinesis. While on it, she scolds Luna for targeting their leader. Yoshi also responded by using his Gale Force magic. Following that, he summoned wind cutters along with Murray's rocks. Without hesitation, they hurled it towards Luna's direction. Despite their determination, their attacks were stopped by Luna's magical shield. As the rocks crashed to the ground, both Murray and Yoshi stared in confusion. Seeing this, Luna said no magic could harm someone more loved by God. Hearing this, Kai finally understood what holy divine protection meant after he had seen it listed on her status. Still, he saw her low defense and thought a physical attack could work if not for Gaius. At that moment, Gaius continued to confront Shin's attacks. After a normal kick, Gaius noted Shin seemed tired, but Shin said using full power on him would be a waste. With that, he asked Shuji to lead Gaius to him and focus on attacking Luna instead. Shuji agreed, but he's concerned that his sword might be just as ineffective as his magic. Suddenly, a sword was thrown toward him. Upon realizing who might tossed it, Shuji thanked the person. Luna then remarked that Shuji finally seemed ready for a proper fight. In response, Shuji said someone had taught him well, and he was now set on cutting her down. As Shuji charged toward her, Luna quickly cast wind cutter spells. However, Shuji dodged each one and slashed through them with precision. From afar, Rinus said her magic was useless to Luma, and Yoshi couldn't help Shin up close. Frustrated, Murray plans to protect the others since they'd be a burden if they join now. With that in mind, she turned her attention towards Shin's fight with Gaius. Meanwhile, Gaius continued trying to overpower Shin, but Shin resisted fiercely. At one point, Shin unexpectedly threw his shoe, catching Gaius off guard. As a result, Shin landed a solid hit to his stomach. Seeing Gaius stopped, Shin questioned his slow moves and noted his wounds healed, but not his stamina. But Gaius replied that Shin also couldn't rely on his divine protection anymore. At the same time, Luna began casting fireballs at Shuji. Hence, he was forced to dodge rapidly. Still, he realized that he could be killed by her ranged magic. Knowing this, he began thinking of another strategy to overcome her. When the surroundings finally calmed down, Luna praised Shuji for dodging her attacks where a few in the kingdom could do. However, Shuji knew dodging wasn't enough since it was one-sided unless he closed the gap. However, he couldn't rely on the others since their divine protections were useless. At this range, Luna held a massive advantage and he needed to be suddenly. Luna was caught off guard by his movements. In response, she summoned the wind. But Shuji continued to charge forward, so she raised her hand and commanded him to fall. As soon as his body stopped moving, Shuji was filled with confusion. Still, Luna proceeded to cast fire magic and send it directly at him. Watching this, Rina and the others were clearly worried. Meanwhile, Luna noticed Shuji was unknowingly enhancing himself, so he's growing rapidly. Yet looking at Shuji's unconscious body, she concluded she still had the upper hand. Meanwhile, Shin continued to face Gaius. With his magic no longer an option, he was unsure how to defeat him. Suddenly, Gaius noticed his hesitation and launched a counterattack. Due to this, he slashed Shin across the body. With that, Shin realized he'd been holding back against a weakened old man. Gaius then said without magic, this was his limit and he is still an amateur. But Shin refused to believe he was weak after beating many foes in his world. Hence, he remembered that he is still strong even without explosions. Suddenly, began standing again, so Gaius questioned him. Still, he continued even though the sword was slowly cutting his shoulder. Seeing this, Gaius was obviously surprised. Suddenly, Shin clenched his fist and struck him directly in the face. Due to the force, he was sent flying. As Gaius lay unconscious, Shin declared his victory. Meanwhile, Shuji remembered the classmates he had to protect, and the thought of their suffering drove him to rise again. Seeing this, Luna praised his remarkable endurance, but Shuji simply responded that the fight wasn't over yet. Still, she reminded him again that he could never reach her, but in an instant, Shuji appeared right in front of her. Before she could react, Shuji swung his sword. Although she moved back just in time, the blade still grazed her. Hence, she couldn't believe she had let her guard down, but Shuji was already behind her again. Turning quickly, she summoned water to raise an ice shield. However, it was quickly shattered by his attack. As she backed away, she finally understood what was happening. She realized he hadn't caught her off guard, but he intentionally closed the distance. Thus, she said Shuji was likely blessed with the instant movement he wanted. Yet Shuji insisted that he only wished for the power to protect everyone. Hence, he proceeds to point his sword to her neck, but Luna reminded him that he still couldn't defeat her. She then ordered him to kneel, and his body froze once more. After that, she declared she hadn't wanted to use this power, but had no choice. At that moment, Kai knew Luna had used her trump card, so he signaled Rin to act. On the other side, Luna began to envelop Shuji with magic. She admitted she hadn't planned to use enslaving magic and that Shuji was truly impressive. Upon hearing this, Shuji could only curse in frustration. Meanwhile, the others tried to come to his aid, but Luna commanded them not to move. As a result, all of them were restrained by her domination magic. Realizing this, Yoshi voiced his helplessness. Luna then acknowledged their efforts and announced that they had earned a passing grade. After dealing with them, she turned her attention to Gius. She felt disappointed that he lost and thinks he's replaceable. But as long as she could control the hero candidates, there would be no issue. Hearing this, Yoshi realized the outcome was decided from the start. Like him, Shuji accepted there was nothing they could do without a countermeasure. Luna then revealed she was allowed to summon them to control them if they ever threatened the Empire. But suddenly, multiple knives came flying toward her. In response, she quickly summoned the land to rise and block the attack. As the knives fell to the ground, she addressed Kai by saying she knew he'd been hiding and killed her subordinates. When Kai finally emerged, he was surprised that someone like her noticed someone as ordinary as him. Luna replied his calmness didn't match a useless ability, so she'd suspected him from the start. Still, she said it was disappointing he revealed himself in a hopeless battle. In response, Kai said he'd decide if the battle was unwinnable. Hearing this, Luna challenged him to prove it. She then immediately ordered him not to move. As the enslaving magic took hold, Kai finally experienced its effects. Luna then asked him if he now understood the situation he was in. Unexpectedly, a shot rang out and Luna was hit in the shoulder. While holding a gun, Kai commented that he had missed because she was the same test. Shocked, Luna questioned how he was able to move despite being affected by her magic, but Kai casually pulled the trigger once again, and she was shot. Unable to maintain her defense, she questioned Kai's weapon. Kai responded it was his world's deadliest tool, and he hesitated to use it due to limited bullets. Still, Luna composed herself and cast a fire spell. Hence, Kai was momentarily startled as the flames engulfed him. She then mocked him for letting down his guard, but to her surprise, only his robe was burning. Before she could question it, Kai pointed the gun at her to stop her next move. He then said her magic failed and she lacked close combat skills, leaving Luna confused why. But Kai claimed he didn't know why, though it was a calculated gamble. Back at that night, he had asked Rin to dominate him. After hearing this, Rin was obviously embarrassed. Still, she said she wasn't into that and Kai asked what nonsense she meant. He informed her that he researched magic and found no record of enslaving magic. However, he found that when two spells clash, the one cast first takes precedence. Hearing this, she realized that using her domination skill first could override Luna's enslaving magic. Kai confirmed it and added that divine protection was stronger than ordinary magic. Still, she thought her power was weaker than Luna's advanced enslaving magic, but he responded that it ultimately came down to proficiency. After all, her level 1 domination magic and Luna's level 3 enslaving magic are different. So he reminded her of the time Ted's domination magic overpowered hers. Back then, he assumed the demons would obey Rin, but he was wrong. So he concluded that Ted's magic had been cast first. By the same logic, Rin's domination could act as a protective layer against Luna's spell. It was a gamble that worked, and he was also testing his control under domination. In the present, Luna finally realized that Rin must have been involved. Seeing her realization, Kai confirmed he was now under Rin's domination magic. Luna dismissed it as a cheap trick, but Kai declared this was her end, so be prepared to fire. But to Luna's surprise, she was handcuffed, and this sealed her magic. Kai explained the cuffs came from the Demon King's army and could suppress her powers. In response, she asked what he intended to do. He then said he'd release her if she could send them back to their world, but replied that it was impossible since she could only summon and not return people. Using his skill, Kai confirmed she wasn't lying because her status showed no such ability. He then questioned her claim about returning home after defeating the Demon King. Luna clarified that summoning required divine power, so they relied on God. So it was God who brought them here, and completing their mission was meant to send them back. But Kai asked why she sounded unsure, so she admitted past hero candidates failed to defeat the Demon King. Still, he asked what happened to them. As others listened, she revealed that many died or went missing. Disturbed, he said he didn't want to fight the Demon King and asked why she kept it secret. but she replied they'd still have to fight once the Demon King's army attacked. Hearing this, he realized they had no choice. She then added that they still needed the Empire's support and urged him to release her. Still, Kai raised his knife and was ready to kill her, but Shuji stopped him. Kai then questioned him after thinking Shuji had resolved himself, but saw he was still naive. Shu then explained he wanted to stay a hero candidate since Luna failed to send them back. However, Kai reminded him they were already labeled traitors, but Luna agreed with Shuji. She admitted she got carried away and promised to pretend none of this happened. Though Kai saw their point, he still believed Luna was dangerous, since once freed, she might kill Rin without hesitation. Still, Shuji chose to free Luna and make a deal to not get backlash from killing a Saintess. Hearing this, Murray agreed that being a criminal would only hinder defeating the Demon King. Though Rina also agreed, she insisted on a way to ensure Luna kept her promise. Meanwhile, Yudo sided with Kai by saying Luna couldn't be trusted and must die. Though Shuji agreed, he was worried about what would happen after Luna's death. Kai knew Shuji felt responsible for their classmates, but he was confident handling things alone. With that, he made his decision. He pulled the trigger and the bullet struck Loom in the forehead. Seeing this, Shuji froze in shock. When her body finally fell, the others finally reacted. Shuji then tried to confront Kai, but Kai threw a smoke grenade and bid Shuji farewell. When the smoke cleared, Kai was gone, so all Shuji could do was fall to his knees. Suddenly, Murray exclaimed that Kai's killing of Luna without their consent was unforgivable. On the other hand, Rina confirmed that Kai truly only thought of himself. However, Yoshi began to reflect on Kai's possible reasons. Meanwhile, Rin stared at Luna's body in disbelief, yet she remembered that this was exactly what Kai had said might happen. Earlier, Kai had told her his plan. He first plans to capture Luna and try to find a way home. If that failed, he would kill her. Hearing this, Rin agreed, but she was warned that Shuji might protect Luna afterward. And if that happened, Kai said he'd still kill Luna and then escape. In response, Rin asked if he planned to bear the sin of killing Luna alone. Kai said yes and spared Luna's men, so they could blame him upon returning to the Empire. When Rin asked if it would work, he said it was her turn to use domination on them. Still, she asked what would happen to him, but all he said was that he would be fine alone. Now remembering all this, she couldn't help but think of him. Meanwhile, in a distant castle, a man spoke of God-blessed hero candidates from another world. Hence, he ignored the failed assassination report since the heroes would still appear. Knowing this, Wimber, who's the top demon executive, grew interested in the coming war. A few days later, Kai continued wandering through the forest. While drinking, he remembered it had been 2 days since the incident and he should be near a city. With that in mind, he decided to climb to higher ground. At the mountain peak, he spotted the city that's about half a day's walk away. Later that night, he continued walking. At the city walls, he realized the Saintess's killer couldn't enter through the main gate, so he threw a rope over the wall and climbed up carefully. Once inside, he began to think about earning money. That's because the coins he had taken from the guards were insufficient. As he walked around, he noticed a tavern that looked like a promising place to find work. Inside, the tavern was filled with busy patrons. When he entered, someone asked for his order. So if he requested an ale and some food, suddenly, a drunk man beside him noticed his unfamiliar face and asked if he was a traveler. Kai confirmed that he had left his hometown and was now searching for a job. The man assumed he was fleeing from the Demon King's army and expressed sympathy. Though a misunderstanding, it worked in Kai's favor, so he asked about jobs that didn't need identification. Hearing this, the shopkeeper suggested becoming an adventurer. Kai then asked what kind of tasks adventurers typically performed. The shopkeeper explained that guild jobs mostly involved beast hunts. However, the drunk man doubted Kai, but the shopkeeper thought he wasn't a novice. The man then believed since Kai traveled alone, especially Kai claimed beasts were easy. With that, Kai then asked how to become an adventurer. The shopkeeper said he could register at the city guild, which needed recruits and wouldn't ask for ID. Kai then noted the shopkeeper's knowledge, who admitted he was a retired adventurer. Setting that aside, the innkeeper handed Kai his meal. The next day, he woke up and noticed that it was already morning, so he began getting dressed. Afterwards, he thanked the innkeeper for the short notice stay and said he might stay longer. Hence, the innkeeper thanked him in return. After leaving the building, he noticed that she did not react at all upon seeing his face. But since this world lacked photos, he saw no need to stay constantly on guard. Shortly after, he arrived at the Adventurers Guild. Without hesitation, he entered place. There, he found the place bustling with people. Ignoring the crowd, he located the receptionist's table. After approaching it, he began the registration, and the receptionist said it cost 1 silver coin. After handing it over, she asked for his name, age, and place of origin. Realizing he couldn't reveal his real identity, he called himself Siren, age 17, from a town seized by the Demon King. With that, the receptionist proceeded to register his information. Still, Kai was surprised his code name could be used, so he let her finish the process. Once she stamped the paper, his registration was finalized. She then offered to explain the guild system. She said adventurers ranked F to A, with higher ranks earning more and facing harder quests. As a newcomer, he'd start at F rank and rise by completing missions. She also showed him the quest board and suggested starting with an F rank mission. After knowing this, Kai went over to the board. There, he saw that F rank tasks included gathering medicinal plants and subjugating kobolds. Curious about kobolds, he chose this mission. However, he was suddenly called out by someone. He then turned to see 3 men saying they'd never seen him and warning kobolds were too much for him. Irritated, Kai quietly questioned who these fools were. Still, Kai thanked them for the warning and asked them to leave him alone. However, they took this as arrogance. Observing this, others in the guild noticed the group was picking on another newcomer. Suddenly, the eye patch man said Kai needed a lesson. As he moved in, Kai grabbed his wrist, leaving him stunned, but Kai just looked at him irritated. The man then ordered Kai to let go, but he couldn't move at all. Realizing this, he commanded his companions to attack. They rushed toward Kai and intended to land a punch. But moments later, all 3 of them were knocked out and Kai walked away casually. From the encounter, he realized average adventurers were much weaker than the hero candidates. Still, he remained focused on completing his quest quickly. Later, deep in the forest, Kai continued his mission. He recalled from the quest details that there should be a couple hideout nearby. Suddenly, he spotted a set of fresh footprints, which indicated a recent presence. Following the trail, he figured out it's from an animal. While on it, he became aware of something watching him. Sensing he wasn't alone, he guessed the hidden presence was kobolds. Suddenly, a kobold emerged from behind. Luckily, Kai dodged just in time and noticed that the creature wielded a sword stolen from a human. Another couple then appeared with a wooden weapon. As it attacked, Kai grabbed a handful of dirt and threw it into the creature's eyes. When the first couple lunged again, Kai responded with a swift kick to its face. As it fell, he seized its sword and used it to stab the creature. Seeing this, the second kobold was confused, but Kai used the opportunity to throw a knife and successfully hit it. Now 2 kobold bodies lay on the ground. Immediately, he activated his judgment, and the status showed they weren't a threat, so he decided to hunt them for profit. Later back at the guild, a crowd gathered around at the reception with the kobold ears piled up. Kai showed it as proof and asked if it was enough. The receptionist confirmed it was enough, but was surprised he did it alone. Kai affirmed that he worked alone. However, tracking was slow due to his weak exploration skills, but the hunt was easy. Hearing this, some guessed he was C rank, but were shocked to learn he was a beginner. Meanwhile, the receptionist began preparing his reward. Later that night, Kai idly played with his money bag. Realizing the profit in hunting weak monsters, he decided to work as an adventurer for now. Moreover, building connections at the guild would also help him gather information. However, he suddenly stopped. Looking up, he saw someone blocking his path. Hence, he asked the man if he needed anything, and since he was far stronger than the others. The man named Lyle then introduced himself as a B-rank adventurer and guild head. Hearing this, Kai asked what business he had with him. Lyle asked if he was Siren and noted he'd caused trouble earlier to his men. Kai clarified that it was Lyle's men who started the fight, but Lyle doubted him after only hearing a newbie beat his men. Seeing no point in arguing, Kai let it go. Despite that, Lyle said he wouldn't hold back and would teach Kai a lesson. He launched a punch, but Kai easily dodged. As Lyle continued his assault, Kai avoided every strike with minimal effort. Determined not to give up, Lyle attempted a high kick, but Kai struck his supporting leg, throwing him off balance and sending him to the ground. After that, Kai noted that Lyle's movements were unrefined and full openings. Angered by this, Lyle leapt up to attack again, but Kai redirected his strike with ease. He then grabbed Lyle's arm and pinned him to the ground. He then figured Lyle lacked experience fighting humans, likely due to focusing on monsters. Still, Lal asked why Kai bothered with his men, but Kai just said he'd explain. Later, inside a tavern, Lal loudly apologized to Kai for the misunderstanding. Hence, everyone looks at them. Lal then looked at his subordinates and admitted that it was his own fault for believing their lies. So he ordered them to apologize, which they did immediately. But he told them to apologize to Kai, so they quickly begged Kai for an apology. However, Kai said he held no grudge and actually had a question to ask. So Lal welcomed the question. He then explained that he was a traveler. While he had registered as an adventurer to earn money, he also had another purpose. Curious, Lal asked what Kai was after given his unusual situation. After taking a drink, Kai revealed that he was searching for a way to travel to another world. The revelation shocked Lyle and the others. The two men questioned the possibility, then recall the hero candidates were also from another world. Kai confirmed he meant the way to reach the hero candidate's home world. So Lal said it likely involved magic, though none of them knew how it worked. Kai then asked if they had any leads on how to find such knowledge. Lal responded that the sage Elba might be the person he was looking for. Noticing Kai's confusion, Lal explained that a sage is an elf whose guidance once greatly aided their country. Upon hearing this, Kai recalled reading about such beings in books. With elves now rare and reclusive, Kai assumed the sage was one who left their forest. Lyle added sage Elba had lived over a century, known for both wisdom and powerful magic. Hearing this, Kai recalled elves were indeed gifted in spirit magic. But if no known magic could send them home, perhaps spells might be able to do so. But one of Lyle's men doubted the sage was alive, as no one had seen or heard of him. Lyle responded casually that he didn't know the answer. With that, he apologized for not being more helpful, but Kai said it was already useful. For now it was enough. Noting that it was getting late, he told them he would return to the inn. But before he could leave, they asked one final question. They then asked what he'd do after finding a way to another world. I simply replied that he would leave it to their imagination. Hence, they were left speechless as he walked away. A few days later at the guild, the receptionist handed Kai his reward. After receiving it, she thanked him for his hard work. Kai then reflected that a week had passed since the incident and he'd saved some money. Suddenly, Lal appeared and invited him out for drinks, but Kai declined. Despite that, they told him they looked forward to seeing him again. Later on his way, Kai finally gathered more information about the sage. He learned Elba was a retired advisor living at the western border, now threatened by the Demon King's forces. Hence, he set out to find the sage after not needing to stay in the city anymore. Meanwhile, at the Holy Temple of Alpha, Shuji met the man overseeing the hero candidates after the Saintess died. This man named Henry and captain of the Holy Knights asked Shuji if they had any complaints so far. Shuji replied there was nothing in particular and praised him for doing a good job. Pleased, Henry clarified he was simply showing respect to valuable national assets. Murray then thanked him and thought he seemed unlike Luna despite his looks. Moving on, Henry told them that the hero candidates would be mobilized. Shuji immediately asked if this meant they were being sent to the front lines. Henry confirmed it. He also noted the ongoing battles at the western border and directed them to their assigned fort. Understanding the situation, Shuji reminded Henry of their earlier agreement. Henry assured him he'd keep the promise to protect students unfit for combat. With that, Shuji thanked him at once. However, he added that those staying behind must still help out to earn their meals. Upon hearing this, Shuji thought of Yumi and agreed it was better to work than be idle. Setting that aside, Murray asked when they would depart. Henry replied that they would leave the next morning and requested that they inform the others. On their way back, Murray was relieved that Henry had accepted Shuji's request. Shuji agreed and admitted he feared his demands were too much. Murray then guessed Luna's death made the church agree easily and cautiously, to which Shuji agreed. With that thought, Murray began to wonder where Kai might be now. However, this reminded Shuji of how Kai left them. Back then when they returned, the bishop was shocked to hear the Saintess was dead. Thus, he demanded to know who was responsible. Rina stated that the criminal was none other than Kai, one of the hero candidates. Hearing this, the guards were visibly shocked. The bishop then asked where Kai was now. So Rina replied that he had fled and noted that he was surprisingly fast for a traitor. The guards then discussed sending inquisitors, but needed proof the Saintess was truly dead. At that moment, the bishop remarked that Kai's escape story seemed a little too convenient. Irritated by this, Shin asked what the bishop was trying to say. The The bishop said he wasn't denying their story, but suspected they might have conspired with Kai to kill Luna. Hearing this, Shuji began to feel uneasy, but one of the guards shouted that he had witnessed the entire incident. He explained the hero candidates tried to protect Luna, but were no match for Kai. More guards then stepped forward and supported his claim. Hearing it from Luna's guards, the bishop accepted it and asked if Kai was really that strong. Shuji confirmed it, adding that Kai had been hiding his true strength all along. With that, asked to continue the talk in private and requested one to join him. Meanwhile, Rin stayed hidden and confirmed her domination ability had worked. Aware of her support, Shuji silently thanked her since they had narrowly avoided disaster. Back in the present, Mary tells Shuji that it's pointless to worry about Kai. In response, he agreed. But deep down, he blamed himself for Kai's sacrifice since it was his duty to protect everyone. So he clenched his fist and was determined to keep moving forward. Later in the hall, Shuji gathered the others. He announced their deployment and told all combat personnel to prepare for departure the next morning. Upon hearing this, students grew visibly nervous by the reality of facing real combat. Rina then reminded them it was too late for fear since they'd chosen the combat unit. Still, they couldn't help but feel anxious. Hanno then asked if they would be sent to the front lines alone, but Shuji reassured them they were under Henry, who's captain of the 8th Night Corps. Suddenly, Rin asked if there had been any updates about Kai. Shuji said there was a bounty on Kai and ongoing efforts to find him, but no updates yet. Disappointed, Rin silently walked past him. Meanwhile, Rina shouted she didn't care if Kai was a traitor, since she'd burn him if she ever found him. As Rina looked out the window, she wished Kai had taken her with him. Inside the forest, the knights and hero candidates marched toward their destination, but Shin remained alert. Soon, a girl voiced her exhaustion and asked if they could take a break. However, Mary reminded her they'd just had lunch and would likely walk until nightfall. Some boys then complained about 2 days of boring walking, hoping for excitement. Suddenly, Shin raised his hand to stop them. When asked what was wrong, he said he sensed magical beasts in the bushes. Hearing this, the group quickly became alert. Suddenly, one of the knights questioned why they had stopped. Shuji informed him that they had detected magical beasts nearby. But after seeing nothing, the knight dismissed it and told them to stay put. Offended, Shin asked him to repeat himself. He then immediately grabbed the knight by the neck and lifted him off the ground. Seeing this, Shuji quickly ordered Shin to release him. However, Shin retorted, asking why he should take orders from someone he considered worthless. At that moment, a scratching noise echoed through the forest. Hearing this, Shin released the knight. Just soon after, a group of monsters emerged. The guards identified them as sharp rabbits and ordered everyone to get ready. Immediately, the rabbits charged toward the group. One of them targeted a guard and used its sharp claws to slash at him. The impact sent the guard's sword flying and landing far out of his reach. With the rabbit standing before him, the guard froze in fear. Unexpectedly, an explosion struck the rabbit. Immediately after, Shin kicked the rabbit and crushed its head with a stomp. Seeing this, the guard and surrounding rabbits were stunned. Still, the guard expressed his gratitude, but Shin only told him to stay out his way. Without delay, he charged into the enemy and punched the rabbits. Soon, he became more aggressive, so he went on a rampage and slaying multiple enemies. Seeing this, the others noted his strength and thought his power felt more violent than before. But despite this, Shin felt dissatisfied. In his mind, this was still not enough compared to Kai's. Back to that night when Kai had threatened Luna, he had watched Kai shoot her, and rage bubbled up inside him at the thought that it was Kai again. From the start, Shun had a bad feeling since Kai never showed any fear toward him, nor did he react to his presence at all. When Shun challenged him, he felt how strong Kai was. But after receiving the power of explosion, he wrongly thought he was stronger and felt annoyed at Kai. Back in the present, Shuji noticed Shin's bad mood and asked what was wrong. Shin dismissed the concern, but added that he just hated taking orders from those he saw as weak. At Fort Truss near the western border, guards stood ready at their post. Inside, Captain Amelia greeted and thanked the hero candidates. She then introduced herself as the new captain of the Knights at the western border. Hearing this, Henry asked what had happened to the previous watchdog captain. Amelia said he died a week ago, and this shocked everyone. As she spoke about resting, someone came running toward them. The guards hurriedly reported that the Demon King's army was approaching. Upon hearing this, Amelia said there'd be no time to rest and that she was counting on them. In response, Shuji acknowledged it. He then immediately began issuing orders to prepare for combat. Among the group, Shin appeared to be the most eager to fight. Outside the fort, the warning bell rang as the guards spotted the demon army. Not far from the walls, a large group of demons marched forward, and their numbers were overwhelming. So the students were shocked by the size of the approaching force. Meanwhile, Henry ordered to fire and thin the enemy before they got close. The guards readied their bows, while the holy knights began channeling fire magic. As the arrows were released, flames engulfed them midair. Thus, the demons struck by them caught fire. Still, the demons refused to retreat and continued their assault. Hence, Shuji was surprised by their tenacity. Emilia then said the attacks wouldn't work since demons had much greater stamina. Knowing this, Shuji asked what they should do next. In response, she told him to obey Henry while she led the fourth knights into battle. Hearing this, Henry meant to wish them Godspeed but saw they had already moved out. But Shuji was puzzled by this, so Rena revealed that others were already on the battlefield, and this surprised him. At the battlefield, explosions shook the area, but the demons looked around in confusion. Shin then appeared before them and along with all the other students. Seeing them, the demons mocked them for rushing into battle recklessly. But Shin responded with an explosion and declared that he didn't care whether they were demon. That's because he simply intended to erase them from existence. Meanwhile, the outer wall had begun to collapse. It created an opening through which the demons broke in. One of them easily struck the guards, while another demon prepared to strike with his axe. But before he could attack, he was beheaded. While the guard was stunned, he realized it was Shuji who had saved him. Soon after, more demons charged towards Shuji. Without hesitation, he extended his sword and slashed them down in one swift motion. Following that, he reminded himself he could do it since the power in him was still growing. He then told the class they could win and urged them to fight without fear. Hence, the students responded with a shout of agreement. Without hesitation, Shuji charged into the enemy lines. He knew hesitation would shake his classmates, so he had to leave with confidence. Moreover, Kai had already shown him the cost of being naive. Like Shuji, Mary encourages the others to fight. Rina also joins with her fire magic and burning nearby demons. Meanwhile, Rin used her domination ability to control the demons' actions. With that, the class fought with everything they had. Seeing the demons retreat, the guards were amazed by the hero candidate's strength in overwhelming the enemy. With that, Henry ordered the knights and guards to help push the demons back. In response, the soldiers whirred in agreement. Later after the battle, the field outside the walls was strewn with demon corpses. Shin, Shuji, and the others stood amidst the silence. Suddenly, Emilia declared the battle won, and the demon army had been defeated. Hearing this, everyone cheers throughout the battlefield. As the sun began to set, Shuji stood quietly. Suddenly, Henry walked up and asked how his first real battle went. Shuji admitted it was tough and he lost focus, so he was unable to give clear orders. Even so, Henry said he did well and the victory was thanks to everyone's efforts. However, he warned Shuji to stay alert because the enemies today were only low-level demons. And while small in number, the high-ranking demons were in a league of their own. Hearing this, Shuji promised to keep that in mind. Meanwhile, inside a demon fortress, a subordinate apologized for their defeat. Hearing this, the highest executive of the demon army named Stone clenched his teeth in fury. Meanwhile, in the western forest of Echo, Kai continued his journey. As he walked, he figured he was near the forest's edge and close to finding the sage. Just then, he noticed something nearby. Multiple red strands suddenly lashed toward him, and he managed to dodge it. After observing it closely, he realized that it was not a strand, but a tongue. Looking around, he saw a group of baboons with long tongues. Using his ability, he examined their status. After dropping his bag, he decided to prepare for battle, although their stats were mediocre. One of the baboons then moved and extended its tongue toward him. Kai dodged swiftly, but another creature appeared in front of him. Before it could strike, he jumped away. Soon, all three baboons surrounded him. One of them used its tongue again. Kai sliced it in half, so the creature let out a painful scream. Without hesitation, Kai kept slashing at the exposed tongue. As he neared, the baboon tried to strike, but he dodged, so he called it slow and responded by slashing its body. With that, the creature collapsed to the ground, seeing their companion fall. The remaining baboons grew nervous, so Kai mocked them and offered to come after them instead. Moments later, their bodies also dropped to the ground. Looking at them, Kai suspected he was nearing the Demon King's land as monsters increased, or maybe it was just too far from cities for knights and adventurers to patrol. Regardless, he knew stronger beasts lurked deeper and planned to stay alert. Eventually, he reached Mount Uruguano, a natural barrier against the Demon King's army. From where he stood, he saw Reaper Wolf Mountain's peak where the sage was said to live. As he continued walking, he recalled a small village at the mountain's base. After some time, he finally arrived at his destination, but he was stunned by the sight before him. The village at the base of the mountain was engulfed in flames. As he ran toward it, he suspected the demon army had attacked the village. Within the village, demons were scattered, while some were mercilessly killing the villagers. Seeing this, Kai recalled it was far from the front, but nowhere seemed safe now. Suddenly, one demon asked Hector their next move, while another urged them to continue the massacre. But Hector ordered them to stop and propose enslaving the remaining humans. In addition to that, he asked if they had gathered any information about Elba. The second demon then confirmed that the sage was now at Wolf Mountain's peak. Hearing their intel match the report, Hector grew frustrated. Gazing at the mountain, he said finding the sage was top priority, and they climb after resting. The second demon then warned it was home to untamable Reaper Wolfens. But the first demon asked why, so the third said domination magic failed on smart beasts. The second demon then said a heavenly king once tamed a dragon, but they couldn't. Knowing that they lack magic, Hector said they had to fight head-on. In response, the other demons shouted in agreement. Observing this, Kai concluded that the group appeared to be well organized under. And based on the status board, Hector seemed to be a high-ranking demon. So he noted that if Hector held such a rare rank, facing him directly would be risky. Suddenly, Hector sensed that someone was watching them. Although he saw nothing, he still ordered his subordinates to search the area. As Kai silently moved away, he noted that Hector's senses were exceptionally sharp. The other demons then began urging him to come forward. Fortunately for Kai, stealth were his specialties, so he remained undetected. But nearby, he noticed a group of captured villagers. Still, he chose not to intervene. Continuing his path, he quietly apologized and focused on reaching the sage first before the demons. For that reason, he had to climb the mountain as soon as possible. Later, at the peak of Wolf Mountain, Kai successfully reached the top. After glancing back, he spotted a trail likely used by wild beasts and followed it. However, the view was unclear and the ground was unstable, so he moved cautiously. Soon, he felt a strange presence nearby. As he walked further, he wondered if he had encountered the rumored wolf in around. Soon, more unseen creatures gathered and their presence was overwhelming. Suddenly, one of the wolfens let out a loud howl. Immediately after, several wolfens charged at Kai from different angles. Acting quickly, Kai jumped to evade one of them and landed on a tree branch. From there, he realized these were the magical creatures behind the mountain's disappearances. Using his judgment ability, he looked at the wolfens and checked their status. Just then, one of them lunged at the tree, causing it to crack. Furthermore, the impact destabilized Kai's footing. As the leaves began to fall, he grabbed one and reinforced it with mana. With precision, he threw it at the attacking wolfen. As a result, the leaf sliced the beast's body in half. After landing back on the ground, Kai faced more incoming attacks. One of the wolfens lunged toward him, but he casually punched it. So before the second wolfen could attack, it was hit by the dead wolfen. As a result, it was also killed in the collision. Seeing their fallen comrades, the remaining wolfens grew more enraged. Meanwhile, Kai found that using mana enhanced his physical abilities greatly. After all, Luna said their mana was weak from over-reliance on innate abilities, and this made them vulnerable to enslavement magic, but he vowed to master mana. That's because he believed better control would boost his strength and magic resistance. And even if not as strong as divine protection, it was still a vital skill. So as he cut another wolfen, he vowed to train mana control as he climbed. Soon after, he faced the entire pack and walked straight through them. Before they could react, he had already reached the leader of the pack, but the other wolfens were stunned to see Kai bypass them. Meanwhile, the leader attempted to bite him, but Kai quickly struck first and sliced the beast's body. After the leader fell, he looked back at the remaining wolfens, but they already turned away and fled. Nevertheless, he thought this experience had been a valuable lesson. With that in mind, he continued chasing after the retreating wolfens. While pursuing them, he noticed something strange about their movements. He saw a faint figure move just ahead of each wolfen. Observing it closely, he realized it was predicting the trajectory of their actions. As if to confirm it, one of the wolfens moved exactly as the figure had. Another figure then soon appeared towards him, so he retreated quickly. Following that, he struck the figure with precision. And a moment later, the real wolfen overlapped with it. As a result, Kai's blade sliced clean through its body. From this, he concluded that he had developed the ability to see 1 second into the future. Suddenly, the remaining wolfens began to hesitate, so he ordered them not to run away just yet and invited them to continue helping with his training. After a while, their lifeless bodies were left scattered on the forest floor. Using his ability, Kai confirmed he gained the skill foresight that showed the near future. Additionally, his judgment ability evolved with weakness detection and revealed all insight. Despite that, using so much power had taken its toll. Feeling the fatigue, he decided to take a break since he was also now close to reaching the peak. However, a sudden noise caught his attention. Alarmed, he immediately suspected that the demon army had arrived, so he chose to press forward without delay. Meanwhile, near the mountain's peak, the demon army had cornered a girl. Hector faced her and noted her persistence as fitting for the sage disciple. But the girl narrowed her eyes and was alert. Hence, Hector coldly declared that her time was up and ordered his subordinates to kill her. Hearing his words, the elven girl couldn't believe her life would end here. Suddenly, the demon began launching an attack. As she shut her eyes in fear, the sound of blood splattering echoed around her. Unexpectedly, Kai intervened and saved her. Still disoriented, she realized that her savior was a human. With that, the demon began questioning Kai's identity. However, Kai remained silent, but he only...
Alright, that's the end of the story. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.